So I'm going to keep this brief because obviously the video will probably go on quite a while. First of all, there's probably a lot less in this than the beginning of the year 6 months one. I think I'm getting better. Plus the cost of things now is quite mad. I think I'm getting more sensible. He spent a bomb on samples as per usual. Same rules as normal with this. I will include travel sizes, but 10mm ones, you know, and obviously official ones. Because yeah, unlike most these sorts of videos you'll see from the big influencers out there, when it's PR or gifted from some, you know, a friend or something, I'll mention that because, you know, that's what you're supposed to do. But whatever. Yeah, I mean it's basically all the fragrances I've bought or received this year, well, the second half of the year since. Now there's a couple from my birthday, so I presume the last one went from October till May. This one's from May till now. At some point I'll get these in some sort of proper order, and hopefully they get less and less so they don't take as long. But that's far too long. It's a completely pointless rambly introduction. We'll get started. So, probably like the beginning of the year, there's one brand I've probably bought most of, and again older fragrances, again is Amouage. I mean the last sample set cost me more than most of these bottles I've purchased, but yeah, it's an expensive brand, isn't it, and getting more expensive with each passing day. I don't know why the dog is in that field. He's coming. So we'll try and put them in as a sort of alphabetical order, not the order I bought them in. Anyway, I'm waffling. Beloved Man was the last Amouage I bought, I think, apart from samples. I just saw a partial. It is only a partial. It was a very good price. It's completely blind, which is handy for the very good price. And it's, how would I describe it? Again, a couple of these, because I've not had long, I've only wore 2 or 3 times at most. It's a citrusy one. It's a citrusy woody, shall we say. Now, I don't hate this one, but it's not my sort of fragrance normally. It's a little bit on the sharper kind of side. It kind of, generic is an unfair word, but it's kind of got that kind of feel of its era about it. It's citrusy, freshy. I wouldn't call it anything more interesting. The vetiver's nice in it, and it's all right. Obviously there will be more videos where I'll go deeper into these, but yeah, that's Beloved Man from Amouage, now discontinued. Next is one I sort of treated myself, I think this was just after my birthday, and that's Gold Man. Now I've often moaned about this. I don't know if I've moaned about it on Instagram. What I thought I bought I didn't quite. This is sadly the new version in the big square box, not the little rectangular box. Yeah, it is different. I mean, saying it's different, I'll give it the benefit of the doubt maybe after it's... I don't believe things change over time, but you know, over many years things get stronger, and since the last formulation maybe the darker notes will get a bit stronger, but it's still beautiful. It's aldehydes, it's lily of the valley, it's kind of nice soapiness in it. The civet sadly is toned down more in this one, I'd say. It's got that touch of ylang in it, giving it a kind of golden feel with it all. It is like a slightly more modern, but not too modern version of what's it called? Chanel No. 5. It's fantastic. I think I've spoke about this enough not to waffle on. Really love this one. Again, I would have preferred a slightly earlier bottle. Maybe it's had some tweaks, but it's still good. That's Goldman. Next is, I got lucky on eBay again, is Gold Woman, and it's a travel, but it's like an old travel size. It's one of them gold ones with the mosque lids. It had, what is in it isn't the very original formulation. The person did tell me that she'd refilled it, which is why all the lacquer came off it, which I don't mind. I kind of, it adds a bit of charm to it, I think, to be fair. But it's an older version of Gold Woman, but not too old, if you get what I mean. Beautiful. We know Gold Woman. It's not a million miles away from Goldman, but this one, the rose is more prominent. The aldehydes are a bit softer. The muskiness is a little bit more. It's more of a powdery kind of feeling one than Goldman. It's gorgeous. I will at some point get a bottle of it, be it old or new. It's just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. So that's Gold Woman. And the last of the Amouages, they've reformulated this. I'm finding an old bottle of this probably ain't gonna happen, is it? Not anymore. As Love Tuberose, and again it's a travel size, a more modern travel size though. It's just a gorgeous fragrance. Tuberose lilies, lily of the valley to me. It's kind of ice creamy chantilly cream in it. It's just sumptuous. It's beautiful. The flowers work magically, and there's no more to say about it. It's just absolutely gorgeous. If you ever see a bottle of this, of the proper version, I shall be snapping it up. So that's a Love Tuberose, and that's the last of the Amouage. Next is, I bought a couple from One Way Bridge. The newest release, which was called The Forgotten Highway, is the one we'll start with. Spoken a lot about this one already, haven't I? This is a kind of ode to the people in Elise, who's the perfumer and the brand owner's care home where she works. It's got fougere qualities about it. It's got lavender and the woodiness about it, but there's also this beautiful smoky birch, more of a woody feel. The birch is heaven in this, and it's one I've said many times, but it wasn't an immediate love, because lavender and me don't always get on, but the lavender's quite magnificent in it. It's not too herby, it's more, not sweet, but it goes that way, a darker kind of sweeter lavender. It's magnificent, and definitely does well to represent that generation, if you like, and in the modern times and stuff as well. So that's The Forgotten Highway. I also bought one she'd made a long time ago, which was an exclusive for a boutique, a shop, which went out of business, I believe, so she's selling off the old stock. Had its Peony Pageantry. This one, as the name might imply, is peony, which isn't again one of my favourite notes, but it's peony and it's rose, and somehow the rose and peony work together to give this. It's fresh to start off with, but then it's not one that's multifaceted, that changes and changes, but this kind of really musky, beautiful kind of powdery rose and peony just work lovely together. It's like one you'd wear on a warm day. It's just the kind of soft beauty of it, and it actually smells like a peony. It's not like when peony's used nowadays. It just smells like shampoo, doesn't it? Doesn't smell like that at all. It's just a beautiful musky peony rose fragrance. So that's Peony Pageantry. Next is we've got to stick to indie together. It's from Fragrances. Now this came about because I saw in Smurfy Girl's Gaza giveaway, there's this brand called And I looked up the fragrance and oh my god, I was like, wow, what is this? Obviously you didn't know anything about, I'd not heard a single thing about them. So I had a bit of a chat with with the brand owner. I've not looked, is it Achia? I'm not, we'll just say Achia, but I'll put a name up on the screen because I'm insulting, I'm trying to remember things. We decided which one would be the first one for me to try, and then she'd chuck in a few samples so I could sniff other things, and there was one that really kind of connected with me. It has a whole massive list of notes, some of which you can smell and some of which are really unusual, but yeah, I thought let's go for this. It's called Dark Night of the Soul, which is, it's kind of influenced by mental health issues and things like that, and this one got to connect to me. How would I describe the fragrance? Really hard to talk about. It's dark. It's got some, not what I call gourmand elements, but there's a dark chocolate feel about it. It's woods. It's got loads of different dabbles of oud and interesting notes. I think there's even a cheese note in it. You don't specifically pick out many of the notes, but it comes together to be this kind of smooth, dark, sort of brooding, melancholy, but still kind of pleasant and hopeful in a way kind of fragrance. It's really, really good. I'm sorry I've not really done justice to it. Again, I've wore it quite a bit. It took me a long time to do my review on Instagram. It's really good though anyway. So that's what was it? Dark Night of the Soul from On Perfumes. So next we have a couple of Chanels. First, alphabetically I suppose, in a weird way, is Chanel number 5. I saw a bottle of this on eBay, quite an older one, not that old, you know, early 2010s, in the kind of that bottle rather than that bottle, rectangular rather than square. There you go, got there eventually. Again, I don't need to go into depth with this one. It's Chanel number 5. It's Ylang Ylang, Lily of the Valley, aldehydes, beautiful soapy muskiness. It's Chanel number 5, we all know it. This is a lot sweeter than I imagined it would be, and I don't know why I'm saying that, but somehow it just sings. It's really bright and it really kind of jumps off me. It must be the formulation of this one being different to the more older ones that we're used to, or the more modern one that's smelled. The Ylang just adds this beautiful sweetness in there. It's Chanel number 5. I love it. Obviously buying these fragrances off eBay is always disturbing and worrying, and there's that many fakes of Chanel, and I imagine even experts would struggle with some of them, but it's legit. It was, you know, it was a partial again. Don't know why you'd wear half of it and then decide. So, you know, I'm comfortable it is what it is. So that's Chanel number 5. And then again, another partial. Number 19 was there. Do you know what? I just put a bid in. Thought it's never really appealed to me because it's green, innit? And the price was so ridiculously low. I just put a bid in and forgot about it. I got it for that. Now there's not a lot. There's probably less than 10 mils over 2 kind of refills. It's got one of them jazzy rectangular travel Chanel thingies. And I've only worn it a couple of times. I'm not just saying this because it cost practically nothing. I'm not just saying this to comfort myself that I've made a boob. I like it. I really like it. Yes, there's a lot of galbanum. I think there's violet leaf. It's very, very, very green. But the greenness is really pleasant. There's an almost mintiness in there. I wouldn't call it aromatic, but it's got that kind of that vibe about it. It's just really, really nice, and green, and they are what I'm going to leave you with till I've wore it more and can do something more in depth. So that's number 19 from Chanel. Next is a gift from a friend over on Instagram. I did a little review of the sample. They weren't the biggest fan of this. They'd won it in a giveaway. Cut a long story short, they said, do you want the bottle? I was like, well, I ain't gonna say no, am I? That's Meøexis. Look, I can't say it, okay? Meøexis from Manos Gerakinis. What is this fragrance? It is unusual that I like it. It's a gourmand. It's quite vanilla-y. It's chocolatey as well. It's kind of got that kind of feel about it. It's quite powdery, but what it has is a really green fig. I'm not a fig lover, but this green fig going through it with these kind of gourmandy notes, it's just really blooming nice, and it's really cozy, and I really, really like it. It's a very nice fragrance. That's all I need to say about it, really, isn't it? This is just the fragrances I've bought, not in-depth reviews. So that's Meøexis from Manos Gerakinis. Next up is one I've loved for ages, and I always said I'd get a bottle. I got a mini in the end. It's one of them little Dusitia minis, which come in a cute little bottle and what have you. I'll just we'll look at the river whilst the dog sorts himself out there. It's, well, coincidentally, just Pavillon is like a walk along a river for me. Like this kind of green smell, more spring than this kind of autumn winter kind of thing we've got going on now. And it's got that beautiful fresh, again, green sweetness. There's some gorgeous flowers in there, not strong flowers, but like spring greener flowers. Is a lily of the valley in it, perhaps? But it's aromatic as well, and it's a really beautiful kind of fragrance, and so peaceful and joyous. And I got this because Lizzie Rose and Jones was getting 2 of them little minis, and you could get by a set of 3, so we went 3 ways, and yeah. Lizzie didn't have much luck with her actual bottle, was falling to bits, I think, of one of them, but I'm lucky and I love this fragrance. I really do. It's my favourite from the brand. Again, surprised for a greener one, but that's Le Pavillon d'Or from Dusitia. Speaking of that Lizzie bird, another one I got for my birthday actually from Lizzie was Papillon's Dryad. Oh, what a fragrance. And it takes me to summer. It's kind of a Chypre style one. I wouldn't call it a Chypre, but it's a Chypre style one. So it's very dry and golden, like you'd expect a Chypre. The narcissus in it is just magnificent. There's a touch of the kind of soapy moss. It's just really, really beautifully done and fantastic and golden. Like you say, like a Dryad is it's a forest nymph, isn't it? So there is that kind of greenness in there. It's got a little touch of the rose and that, but for me it's the dry golden colours, the dry vetiver, the dry florals and narcissus. It's a beautiful fragrance. Again, one I've spoken about loads, so that's a Dryad from Papillon Parfums. Next is a PR gift thing, and that's Aïcan from Kajal, not Kiali, Kajal. Now this one is it pineapple and passion fruit mainly, and it's just a gorgeous. Starts off kind of very sweet and lovely, and it gets a bit more depth and stronger. It's just got these rich fruits and rich woodiness about it. It's just got this kind of beautiful rich, warm fruitiness about it. There is a kind of freshness going through it. There's a bit of orange in there as it develops, and it kind of the patchouli underneath, and also there might be a little hint of ambroxan or something, but again it's not a strong one. What it does is kind of provides a bit of airiness to what would be quite a kind of dense fruity one. It's lovely. If you know Kajal fragrances, they do these kind of fruity ones exceptionally well. So that's Aïcan from Kajal. Sticking with the old birthday theme, Dr. Claire perfumes. Claire, she bought me a couple of travel sizes, both from Frederic Malle. First up is Noir Epices. How would you describe this one in any detail? It's mainly lovely spicy cloves, isn't it? And woods. It's absolutely gorgeous. Warming, it's more for this time of year, and I'll wear it a bit more this time of year. It's just a magnificently, if you like cloves and them darker spices, it is very much that. I know people call them Christmassy. Doesn't really, not really to me. It's just a warm, spicy, woody one. Also, what I will say is though, it is very, very obviously from then. It's from the more modern formulation. Just be careful when you buy the modern formulations. It ain't what it used to be, is all I'll say. Still absolutely gorgeous and that, because obviously we know this DNA. It's really, really nice and enjoyable, isn't it? But it's not the same as it once was. So that's Noir Epices from Frederic Malle. So the next one was en passant, or however you say it, which is lilac, isn't it? It's a green spring day. Lilac, I want to say there's blackcurrant in it, but I feel like I'm making that up. It's like a slight fruity edge to it, but it is ultimately all about the lilac. And it starts off very lilac-y, not surprisingly, and green. And as it develops, the lilac gets a little bit sweeter. Like I say, that's maybe where I get this vision of there being a blackcurrant in there, which I don't think there is. And a little bit soapier, so there's perhaps the greenness from moss or lily of the valley or something. And it's just this very easy, breezy, cool spring day, but with the beautiful floral sweetness of the lilacs. It's a magnificent fragrance. I really like this one. So that's En Passant from Frederic Malle as well, which was also a birthday gift from Dr. Claire. So next up is one from Thameen, which was the first one I tried from them. I've had a few samples of it, and it's carved oud, and yes, it does smell a bit like oud wood. I don't think anyone can deny that. What oud wood used to smell like, more or less, is cardamom. It's obviously like a nice kind of woodier, cleaner, darker oud. There's obviously lots of woods in there. I think there's some rosewood. There's a couple of touches of florals, and there is a kind of like darker licoricey feel about it, and it's just gorgeous. It's pure class and it's pure elegance, and it just smells absolutely fantastic. And yeah, like I say, I don't think there's any denying what it's a bit like, but it does have its own kind of thing going. It's just a magnificently classy, elegant fragrance. I do need to explore this house at some point, which I'll get to, but this one was the one. I think I've tried 3. This was just the one that really stood out, and if you know that DNA, it's just so good. And I think we all need to own something like this, just for that pure classy elegance. So that's carved oud from Thameen. It's the last fragrance I bought this year. Next is one of 2 travel sizes that were sent in PR from Ormonde Jayne. And first up is Kashmir. Now this one was my favourite of the two. This one is, it opens quite bright. There's some citrus and what have you there. And there's also, under it all, is a touch of caraway, which really makes this one stand out and adds a kind of a lovely, that spice that only that can do. There's also some Kashmir and what have you in it, and it's kind of like a semi-sweet, warm, woody one with the bits of freshness come from, I think there's coriander in it. There's a pink pepper sparkle at the beginning again with that cardamom. It's nice, and it's kind of, again, it's more, I'd say, a more kind of a heavier one for the cooler months and that. It's kind of very enveloping, and I do like, obviously cardamom is one of them notes that we all really kind of enjoy and give us a bit of, just has a certain way about it, doesn't it? A very enjoyable fragrance. So that's Kashmir from Ormonde Jayne, and the other one from Ormonde Jayne was Bukhara. This one is very pleasant. It opens with like a rich fruitiness. Peach is a little touch of blackcurrant, and then it's kind of these big but thick, rich, heady white florals, tuberose and jasmine and that. And then it's kind of, again, I think there might be a touch of Kashmir in this one. It's quite a dense, hefty base, which personally I struggle with a bit. Again, because it's so dense. The Kashmirin isn't that bad. It's not a kind of choking-y one. Or maybe it's not. It's all just these dense woods. Let's say, because I don't know that for certain. It's got that kind of vibe about it. And the fruitiness does provide a little bit of kind of a fresh feel about it, but it's like a big, rich, almost in some ways, I don't know why, but a little caramelly, with the fruits and the woods and that. I think there's quite a touch of vanilla in it as well. It's a very pleasant one, but again, it was just that little bit too dense for me. But this is something that I can see being very popular, and I see why this is the favourite out of the two, although I prefer the other one, because of the caraway and that. This one is the kind of bigger, fruitier, more kind of warming one, and it is a very nice fragrance, but like I say, not quite for me, this one. But that's Bukhara from Ormonde Jayne. And finally was one that was gifted from a friend of mine, from a Korean brand called Organtail, and this is Printemps. I don't think I've ever said that before, so I don't know if that sounds right or not. Anyway, this fragrance, predominantly, to sum it right down, is like an apple sours drink, which we used to get in the 90s and the 2000s, with this beautiful lily of the valley. What I mean by the apple sours is it's a little bit tart, but not too much, and sweet, and kind of candied and boozy, obviously. It's just almost like an apple candy. You could probably get similar things that I would better describe, but that's what it is to me. And then that lovely lily of the valley and the kind of the soapiness. There's a lot going on in it. There's also in stages a kind of metallic twang to it, which adds to, it's not metallic, but it's got that kind of, you know what I mean, smooth silveriness almost through it, which adds to the freshness. It's really unique and really nice. And again, I'm not normally an apple lover, but the fact is this kind of apple sours feel. And it also, I suppose, a little bit maybe of the metallic kind of thing leans me towards me imagining it as a tea. There's like a nice black tea under it. It's really nice and really unusual. I look forward to trying more from the brand and kind of discovering what it's all about. It's a good fragrance. So that's Printemps from Organtail. So yeah, that's kind of it. As you can see, there's not so many this time as there usually is. I think it is the cost of living crisis, let's not lie. Unless we get sent tons of PR, that's going to affect us all, isn't it? That's human and to be expected, really. We have other priorities in life, but what it also means is I'm a lot more picky. There's been a couple of blind buys in there, but not big expensive ones. And yeah, I am being more picky. Plus there's been a fair amount of sampling. Again, lots more Amouage samples, which cost an absolute arm and a leg. Probably spent as much on sampling them as, you know, as it costs to buy Guidance 46. But it's worth it because I've really enjoyed exploring the brand and the old side of it. And the same sampling other brands as well. Sampling is the way to go. I'm getting a lot more picky. The more kind of refined funds, shall we say, also helps you just get things that you really want and you really like, which is a good thing. And I don't know if you noticed in this, I'll not make this too waffly, but the only new releases in there were indie brands, and that says a lot because I have sampled new releases from this year. I'd rather set fire to my money. The problem is the whole fragrance industry is dead, isn't it, at the moment? As for, well, mainstream. With creativity, tried the new Amouage ones. What's the point in them, really? There's just nothing exciting or nothing wow. They're all staying basically the same DNA, kind of leaning off. The Ambroxan thing is kind of fading out, and now we're getting everything with Kashmir in it. It's just what it is, isn't it? But yes, indie is the way to go, and it excites me, and I'm always looking. I have a few favourite brands. What I hope to be exploring this next year, I mean, this is important to talk about this, is Mabel Arama's had a new one out. I will be getting that. Another of my favourites, Olfactivo, I'll be trying that. I know that in March, One Way Bridge will have a new one out. I'll be getting that. This is where the excitement is. This is where the creativity and the new ones are. And maybe come June or whenever I do my next list, maybe it will all be indie. It's not likely, is it? I'm sure I'll buy a few cheap old Amouages and a few classic Chanels in there as well, maybe. But that's where my passion's going more and more towards, is the indie and discovering completely new things. Anyway, what about you? What have you bought this year? Have you bought any new ones, or has that been disappointing for you? Are you going for the more older kind of vintagey ones? Alright, I won't keep you any longer. Thanks. Bye.